Hey everyone, wanted to get a video out sooner than later regarding this fresh new rebrand here on the channel. This was something that I started the process of a while ago, and thankfully things fell into place and I was able to move forward with it over the past couple weeks. So for some context, for quite some time, my arena display name, the YouTube handle, my Twitter handle, my Twitch handle, and frankly a lot of other usernames of mine was DirtyCurdy27. The 27 is easy to explain in that it's unexplainable. Kid John decided that 27 was his favorite number because he liked how it looked and it stuck. The Dirty Curdy, though, is half a reference to the region and culture once referred to as the Dirty South, and half a play on my last name, McCurdy. The Dirty South as a term and concept was popularized primarily by Southern rappers in the mid 2000s, referring to the scene and the prevailing attitudes associated with that genre of music at the time. My friends and I, being high schoolers, were really into hip hop, and frankly, it was some of the best music being made at that time, in my opinion, and I still revisit it with quite some frequency. I'm also a big fan of basketball in general and of the NBA in particular, as many of you probably know by now. And the worlds of hoops and hip hop are inextricably linked, so that leads to an even greater affinity for that kind of music for me. In hindsight, there was good and bad in the rap industry at that time. Here in Atlanta, we had Outkast, T.I., and Jeezy making legitimately incredible art, and elsewhere in the country, Lil Wayne was putting out all-time albums, Jay-Z was still on top, Kanye was showing that he was capable of brilliance before he went totally nuts, and Eminem remained in a class all his own. But there was a lot wrong with hip-hop back then, too. Some artists really doubled down on drug use, guns, gangs, and violence as their primary themes, and there's no way you can look at that as a positive. Even more damning, though, was an attitude toward women that, if it isn't straight up misogynistic, it's way too close to that for me to stomach it now that I'm a proper adult. I mean, those Yin Yang Twin singles had some fire beats, but thinking back on it, looking at those lyrics, big yikes, man. So what we've said up to this point I consider two strikes against the use of such a handle for my brand. First, the fact that I had to explain it shows it likely won't be understood or appreciated by much of anyone anymore. And second, the reference itself is to something that doesn't look great some 15, 20 years down the road. And there's a third, too, which I only realized as I started to get better at the game, which brought out my inner spike and desire to be competitive. It could really give the wrong impression to opponents and spectators regarding my character and how I approach the game. Being dirty implies playing dirty, meaning cheating or otherwise using unfair advantages or loopholes to come out on top. And obviously that's not me. I want to win because I draft and play well, not because I got one over on my opponent. I'm an avid fan of limited resources and Lords of Limited, and I wouldn't want to meet Marshall, LSV, Ben, or Ethan as Dirty Curdy 27. I highly doubt that they would get it, and they might draw some conclusions about me that just aren't true. It's just not the first impression I'd want to give. And is it the one thing that I want my arena opponents to know about me? No, not really. Of course, as all this came into place in my head, I knew it would immediately beg the question, well, what do you change it to? I honestly didn't put a lot of thought into it at the time that I had these realizations, in no small part because I assumed it would take a lot of effort to implement such a change across all my channels. Plus, usernames aren't always something that you can just change. Then, a good idea for a new name kind of fell into my lap courtesy my good friend and magic protege, April McNerdy. It is the perfect combination of my last name and an immutable quality of mine that I am not the least bit ashamed of. I am quite proud to be a nerd. To me, that word means that you're passionate about whatever gets you going, and There's no other way I'd want to live. Look, none of us is here for a long time, so you sure as hell better make it a good time. As long as you're not harming anyone else, do what you love, and you can tell anyone who drags you down that I said they can go get So the process started. I knew I could change the handle on YouTube. The Twitch handle I kind of assumed I could change, and the Twitter handle wasn't really as important by comparison. Those are important in that they're the outward facing channels, but I didn't want this to be a partial measure. I really felt that changing my display name on Arena would be the key to making it all work. Problem is, as many of you probably know, there's no way to change your display name on Arena once you've made it. I poked around online and fairly quickly learned that the only way to change a display name is to contact Wizards of the Coast and plead your case. And even then, it's not a very commonly granted request. I tried anyway, really hoping for the best since I knew the rest could just kind of fall into place. Took a little bit, but I was elated to receive an email just a couple of weeks ago now, more or less just granting my request. The very helpful Linwood and Wizards customer service just collected the information they needed in order to verify my identity, and almost right after that, Alexi from the same department replied to confirm that my display name had been changed to McNerdy27. So that's how we got here. I'm thrilled to be taking this step forward with a fresh rebrand, and I'm excited about the plans I have for the coming year, including playing in, streaming, and recording more competitive Arena events, really grinding some draft formats, and putting out some new video essays. I'll wrap this one up with one more big shout out to April for the idea, as well as Linwood and Alexi and Watsy customer service for their help. From here on out, it's onward and upward. Till next time, I'll see you guys.